This is Michelle Osborne. I am the Communications and Program Development Coordinator for the Quebec City Reading Council. I am also the Project Coordinator for the Community Learning in Action Project. And this season, we are launching our digital literacy series. We're very excited about that. And today is our second webinar. And the webinar today is called Digital Footprints, Understanding Them, Everything You Need to Know About Them. This webinar is actually really great for parents and kids alike. So parents, if you are watching this, I hope that it is very informative. You talk to your kids about it. I hope you learn something about it for yourself. And so we are going to have a very engaging and interesting presentation on digital footprints. Okay, so I wanted to first mention the activities we have coming up in March. And March is all about workplace literacy, okay? And we have some really good stuff coming up. On March 12th, we have 8 reasons why you're not getting the job. So we're gonna have a good webinar on that. Hopefully you'll get some good resume and interview tips. On March 19th, you are going to learn a little bit more about remote jobs, because in Quebec City, some of the English speakers, if you have the language barrier challenges, this might be really good for you because you can get a remote job. This is 2019. It doesn't mean that you have to find a job in Quebec and work a 9 to 5. There are many different options, and I'm going to talk about that. On March 20th, very excited, we're going to have Cindy from the Valcartier Family Center, and she's going to come here and talk to us about the job market in Quebec, finding a job. She's the expert over there. So excited about that. And of course, on March the 23rd, we are working with Canada Learning Code, and we're going to be doing a full day workshop on how to build your resume online. So this is not just about paper resume. This is actually doing an online resume that you can send a link out to people. This is going to elevate your resume game and have you stand out from the rest. So that is free. What's better than free? It's an all-day workshop on a Saturday. Some people I know are just like, it's my Saturday, I don't want to give it up. It's one Saturday in your life where you'll gain so much, and your lunch is included. So you can give me a shout. All of the details are online on www.qcrc.org. They're also on CLIA's website at communitylearninginaction.org. So without further ado, let's get into the presentation. I will just share my screen with you so you can see it all. I hope that you find this presentation really informative, because one of the things I want to say is that we are living in a digital age, and I think this is a timely presentation for everybody, because a lot of people don't know what digital footprints mean and how it can affect your life. So we are going to talk in detail about digital footprints. We're going to talk about what types of digital footprints. We're going to talk about, just slide here. We're going to talk about, we're going to talk about what a digital footprint is, because a lot of people don't know. Like I said, different types. There's a couple different types, and we're going to go over those. The importance of having a positive digital footprint, and I really hope you pay attention to that, because that's going to be a big thing. How you can decrease your risk of identity theft with regards to your digital footprint, the dangers of sharing your personal information on social media, how to protect your digital footprint, and last but not least, of course, how to reduce or delete your digital footprint. And that may be surprising for some of you. So let's get right into it. Let's first define what a digital footprint is. So basically, a digital footprint is your trail of activity online. And it could be what someone publishes about you. or it could be what you publish about yourself. So don't just think it's what you are doing online, because if someone comments on something about you, that also contributes to your digital footprint. Also, when a website collects cookies, you know, when you get that thing, you go on a website or you want to buy something at an online store and it says, you know, click here, will optimize your experience on the website to download the cookies. And that is part of your digital footprint as well. Don't think it is. So every time they ask you to download the cookies, that contributes to your digital footprint. This also includes your IP address, your login details, and other personal information. So if you are logging into different websites, if you're logging into, let's say you set up an account for a store, all of these things contribute to your digital footprint. And I think one of the things you have to remember is being careful with where you go. Your digital trail is recorded when you share content. So say on Facebook, you see a post that you like and you want to share it, that contributes to your digital footprint. When you post or comment on social media, so say you want to do your own post, you're doing a post of yourself, you're doing a post of your family, you're doing a post of something you're doing that day, and when you comment on somebody else's post, whether it be on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, that contributes to your digital footprint. Also, when you check into a location, and this is a big one for me, you know, when you go on Facebook and you say, I've checked into such and such a school and I am here now, that is a big no-no. We're going to talk about that later, but that also contributes to your digital footprint. When you update your status of where you are, we all know about that on social media. When you make online purchases, and when you enter information to fill out forms. And so what do I mean by that? Say you wanted to subscribe to a newsletter. Say you want to subscribe to a blog. Maybe you are purchasing something online and you have to put your name and address. Of course, if you're going to purchase something online, you have to put all of your information. We need to really pay attention to that, because all of this stuff contributes to your digital footprint. And there's a lot of it out there. One of the things that they say is it's easier to store data than it is to delete it now. So they can store everything, but it is almost virtually impossible to delete it. So be careful where you go. This screen, I just wanted to show about online interaction statistics for adults and for children, for you to see how much we are going online and using social media and using smart devices. 69% of adults. Now, this information is from 2017, so it's fairly recent, and perhaps the numbers have gone up slightly, but it's still quite relevant. 69% of adults use social media. That's a big, big number. 79% on Facebook alone are using social media. 63% check their child's activity online, and I think that number should be a lot higher because we want to know what our children are doing online. And 32% are confident that they are keeping their children safe. Now, if the other percentage are not confident that they're keeping their children safe, maybe they need to check more of their activity online. Now, for children on the other side, this number is staggering to me. 97% by the age of 4 have used a mobile device. That means when they're 2 years old, 3 years old, when they have that attention span and the ability to look at things and to understand, almost all children before the age of 4 have tapped in to a mobile device. It's a staggering number to me. 59% have used social media by the age of 10. This one worries me a little bit because 59% is still quite a big number. By the age of 10, you don't know what your kids are doing before the age of 10. Sometimes they don't know what they're doing. They don't know how they are contributing to their digital footprint. 42% message strangers by the age of 12. So parents, I hope you are monitoring your children's social media use, because 42% is a big number. And to strangers, we don't know who's out there. And 49% of teens who received hateful, sexist, or racial, like staggering number at 49%. This slide shows you how much of online activity we use, how much we should be looking at what our children are doing, because they may not realize how their digital footprint is being affected. And this is a great presentation for you to be able to understand it and to talk to them about it. So next, we're going to go to the different types of digital footprints. And there's two different types, okay? We start with the active digital footprints, and we have the passive digital footprints. So the active digital footprints is when you make deliberate choices. So this is you actually doing whatever online. So when you post on social media, when you fill out forms, when you agree to install the cookies, when you intentionally and deliberately do something, that's called an active digital footprint. Now, the passive digital footprints are the other ones that you should actually really pay attention to. And that's when you don't know that you're leaving your footprint behind, whether it's intentionally or you didn't know. So there are apps and websites that use geolocation to pinpoint your location. For example, you are in a Starbucks, you purchased a Starbucks, you leave the Starbucks, you check on your phone, it says, how was your experience on Starbucks? You're trying to figure out how your phone knew you were in Starbucks. That's geolocation, and that's also called geomarketing, where if you have your location app open and available on your phone, they know exactly where you are, and they will send you advertisements for that. Perhaps they will even send you a survey for that to see what your experience is like. So that's geolocation. Social media news channels and advertisers that use your likes, shares, and comments to profile you. So when you're on social media, say you like a certain popular social media person's post, say you see a product that you really like and you comment on it or you like it, marketers know where you are. So they will track who liked that and they will send you more advertisements on that. And we've all seen that, right? You go on Facebook, you see something you like, you hit like, or you make a comment, and then all of a sudden your Facebook feed is full of those ads. Either it's happened to us or we know someone who's happened to. So that is part of passive digital footprint. So be aware of that, really be aware of that. And websites that install cookies in your device without disclosure. I think more and more now, they have to disclose that they have to ask for your permission to install the cookies. So before it was more that they would install it for you, but there's been a process going on now where they have to ask your permission legally before it is done. So both active and passive footprints can be tracked and observed in multiple ways by multiple sources. So it's really important to be careful how you manage your digital footprint, and be aware of especially the passive digital footprint, because you don't know what is going on, okay? Now let's quickly talk about the importance of a positive footprint. Now, this section is so important, and I'll tell you why. Because it can affect your future deeply. And some people think, oh, no one's gonna find me, it's not a big deal. And one of the things I wanna say is, parents, if you are listening, please talk to your kids about having a positive footprint. Because right now they might not get it. Right now it's, oh, all of my friends are doing it. It's just a picture of me. It's just a picture of this. Oh, I'm going to tag her. Listen, right now, especially the younger kids, they don't get it, what it's like to have a negative or positive footprint. So I really want you guys to pay attention to this. First of all, it's important to have a positive digital footprint because this is your identity. This is your online identity, and it shows the image of who you are. And so make sure that there is no private or inappropriate content of yourself online. And there's a difference between personal and private, okay? So personal is things like, you know, you're sharing a hobby. Sometimes you take a picture of your food at the restaurant. Those aren't such a big deal. But private information is stuff like sharing your complete full name, your phone number, your address, your SIN number. Those things you should not, absolutely not put online because it is so easy for someone to get access to it. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that later. Having a positive digital footprint builds your online reputation or impression. So when someone looks you up, they immediately think they have a sense of who you are by what you post, and you should be aware of it because it's permanent. It stays there forever. So even if you delete it and you're like, oh, it's gone, there's always a trackway and pathway that someone can access it. And I'm gonna say why. Our digital footprint can also be traced and used by third parties for commercial use. So future employers, okay, let me tell you something. I used to work in HR. I was an HR manager. I was an HR coordinator. I've been in management for many years. And one of the things that I used to always do was go to someone's social media account to see who they were and to see what their personality was like. And that can really change the course of somebody's life. Because if they applied for a job, but they have a negative digital footprint, they have insanely crazy things on their Facebook page, naked pictures of themselves, what have you, more times than not, you will not get hired for the job. And I will tell you, it is important and it is done. Do not think employers are not looking at your Facebook page or any other social media that they can get your hands on. Let me tell you something, 48% of human resources professionals, before they hire somebody, they will go on your social media, and this is more and more every day. So I'm sure that 48% is much, much higher. Universities. There are some universities that perhaps you want to get funding, full funding, a scholarship. Perhaps it's a very important program that is hard to get into and you're up against some stiff competition with other people. They will take a look at your social media profile to see what you are like. And this can inhibit you from being able to go to the school as they might not put you in as part of the program. And of course, law enforcement officers, now they are able to, if it is relevant, to access your information on social media. If there is a specific situation, legal situation where they need to know where you are, what you were doing, they can access this information. So be really, really careful about what you put online. And don't forget, it can also be misinterpreted or misused. And misused is a big one because I'm sure you've heard of stories of people, posting inappropriate things online, and all of a sudden it's shared to hundreds of people, and now your business is there for everybody to see. Please be careful with it. And misinterpreted, that's just like texting. You know when you text somebody a note and you think it's one way and they misinterpret it another way? It's the same thing with social media. They may think one thing, you may think one thing, and then information gets misinterpreted. So let's take a look at this side. What does your online trail say about you? So only 56% of adults surveyed don't actively think about the consequences of their online activity. 56% don't think about the consequences. 56% is a big number, which means a lot of people just trust that whatever they put online is not a big deal. Listen, if you are a millionaire, billionaire, and you own all of your own stuff and you don't care, maybe it's not a big deal to you. But guess what? Usually millionaire and billionaire, when they have their big companies, they have online digital footprints that they are very careful about, and that's why they're at that level. 14% of adults surveyed said they have experienced negative consequences due to online activities by others. Of course, you don't know if you're commenting or if you're posting, especially stuff like that's political or religious. You need to really be careful about that stuff because you don't know what other people are thinking about you, or someone could reshare your information that you said. You really don't know. 21% were fired from a job. I guess a lot of people think that their social media is their personal business and it should have nothing to do with their employers. But guess what? Employers want employees that make them look good as well. So if you are a person who has a negative digital footprint, that can really affect your job. 16% lost out on getting a job. Like I said earlier, 48% of human resources management, people who hire you, will always look at your social media platforms to see what you do, what your personality is like, and they will not give you the job if they don't like it. So be careful with that. 16% lost on their health insurance. That's quite surprising. Guess what? When you look for health insurance and you say something in the survey, they ask you, do you smoke? Do you do this? Do you do that? Guess what? If you say no, and then they see a picture of you smoking on your social media, you're not getting the insurance. 14% lost out on the college they wanted to go to. Like I said before, it can affect what school you want to go to, especially if there is competition for your program, and 15% were turned down for a mortgage. That's really surprising. Maybe they're watching your shopping habits and they know you can't afford it. So right before we go to this section, I want to share with you a video that really details your trace of your digital footprint, so you can really see how in-depth it is. And this one, as I open it, it's called Hot on Your Trail. And it's all about tracing your digital footprint. So I'm gonna just open it here. It's about 4 minutes long, and it's quite interesting. So sit back, relax, and just take a look at what they have to say.
This is Liz. She has a surprise for her boyfriend. She hasn't told anyone about her plans, but she can't keep them a secret. Google knows Liz is planning a trip because she uses Gmail. Liz is no stranger to Google. Google already knows Liz by her email account and her internet address, and it knows her contact list. Liz's internet service provider has a lot of the same information about her, including her full name and street address. When Liz searches for flights, Google also knows that she wants to go to Hawaii. When she clicks on a travel site to buy tickets, it knows the search terms she used to get there. The travel site also knows when she's planning to go to Hawaii. And it knows who she's traveling with and her frequent flyer status. The federal government also learns where and when Liz is traveling and who's traveling with her, and checks if she's on a terror watch list. From the moment Liz clicked on the travel site, dozens of advertising and marketing firms also have begun tracking her online behavior with small computer programs called cookies that they have embedded in the site. These firms may not know Liz by name yet, but they know her by unique tracking codes and can follow her movements across the web. They see when she goes to another site to read about the best beaches in Hawaii and immediately start showing her ads for bathing suits. They learn more about Liz's interests when she goes to her favorite shopping site. Google, Facebook, and Twitter also are gathering more information about Liz's behavior, with share buttons they have embedded on the shopping site, even if she doesn't click on them. Facebook learns that Liz may be interested in bathing suits through its like button, even before she posts a picture of a bikini on her wall. Her post confirms her interest in bathing suits to Facebook, which immediately shows her an ad for a diet shake. The tracking doesn't stop when Liz goes to the mall. Google knows where Liz is headed because she uses Google Maps. As she drives along, a police car scans her license plate and enters the number into a law enforcement database. Her cell phone carrier, Verizon, also records her movements and includes her location data in a bundle of customer information it sells to data brokers. Those brokers then sell the information to advertisers, marketers, and other businesses. When Liz arrives at the mall, the shopping center tracks her phone's Wi-Fi signal to see which store she enters. And when she walks into a boutique, cameras with facial recognition software take her picture and may store it for years. The cameras are also equipped with software that tracks how much time she spends in each aisle. When Liz buys a bathing suit, the store may share information about her purchase with data brokers. Before leaving the mall, Liz stops at a pharmacy to pick up a few more things for her trip. Because Liz signed up for the drugstore's rewards programs, it tracks her prescriptions and shares information with marketers about her purchases, including the home pregnancy test. And through a partnership with the drugstore, Facebook learns that the diet shake ad it showed her earlier in the day was effective. Many of the advertisers and marketers that track Liz claim they cannot identify her. But these firms have a pretty good idea of who she is. Google and Verizon have a much clearer picture of Liz because they know her email contacts, the phone number she has called, and the locations she's visited. Data brokers may know a bit more about Liz because they can link many of her online and offline activities. Law enforcement, private investigators, and attorneys can obtain an even better picture of Liz. They can gain access to her private life with a subpoena or a court order, which require a lower burden of proof than a search warrant. They can find out who she has called and who has called her. They can get location data from her cell phone records. They can find out the internet addresses of the computers she has used to go online and which sites she has visited. The picture of Liz created by this information is very detailed. She has little control over who sees it. Neither do you.
Now, I didn't show that video to scare you. I showed that video so you can get some sense of how deep your digital footprint goes and how in today's age it is almost impossible, if not impossible, to have a trail left behind from your shopping experiences, your online experiences, your social media experiences. And that's why it is A, important to have a positive digital footprint, and B, be careful what you do. So we're going to get a little bit more into the footprint and identity fraud, so you can have a sense of how careful you need to be. So today we live in a world where everything is digital. We can't get away from it. But it is so easy now for fraudsters to get your information. And there's a lot of identity theft going on. You have probably been a victim of identity theft, or you know someone who has, for sure. But you need to be aware of all of your circumstances in order to protect your identity and your money. And a shocking number of people share personal and private information. And we're going to go to the next screen, and I'm going to show you some numbers here. A Visa study showed that almost half of the people disclose their birthday on social media. Insane. You can get so much information from disclosing your birthday information. 29% share their phone number. Why are you sharing your phone number on social media? I don't understand. So many people can get access to you and your information just through a phone number. 20% list their home address. Easy for people to come to your home and fraud you out of things. 42% list their mother's maiden name. And we all know one of the secret questions in some of our account information is, what is your mother's maiden name? It's one of the most popular ones. So it's the worst thing to do to list your mother's maiden name. And 7% of the people post their security number on social media. I don't even understand that. Your social security number is everything. So please, 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 if you are doing any of these things, stop doing them now, because even one of these things could lead to someone frauding you or stealing your identity. Like, really, I really, really encourage you to stop doing them. So a good thief, they know about all of this unprotected information that is out there. A lot of them know what type of passwords, popular passwords that people use. Some will, take your money and run, but there are a lot of fraudsters who will follow you for a while and watch your patterns, because in the long run for them, they're going to be able to get a lot more than just one credit card. They can literally steal your life. So be aware of that. And the more information that they gather, the more they're going to profit from you. So really, really be careful about what you put online. And we're going to talk about passwords in a minute. Now, a study by Pew Research Center in 2017 did a list of what high value accounts are. And high value accounts meaning where you can get frauded out the most and it will be detrimental to your life. So the first one here is your online banking and services account. So if you have an online bank, banking online, and you have information, and of course your account information is there, make sure you really use a safe password. We're going to talk about passwords in a minute. If you looked at my first webinar last week, it was about online security. There was a short video in there about how to build your passwords. It was very helpful. 36% have their utility provider account online. So that is stuff like your cable or the hydro bill. A lot of people have that and they use and pay them online. 32% healthcare provider online. So when you're with a healthcare provider, you have to disclose all of your information, and 39% have other kinds of online accounts. And so this could be, if you are signed up to a store, say you shop at H&M often and you hit save. So one thing I want to mention, a lot of times when you go shopping for a variety of different things, they will have a checkbox that says, save this so you don't have to come back and re-enter it. So they're asking for you to save your first name, last name, email address, home address, credit card number. Never click that button. Never store your information in that. So these numbers are staggering. These are the type of accounts that will most likely get hacked into because it's the most valuable for fraudsters. So be aware of that. This slide I just wanted to show because it gives you a breakdown of the types of frauds, and online fraud is number 2. Okay, and I'm sure it's on its way to being number 1. So when you're online, pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. So let's just look at this slide for a moment. It's estimated that 10 million Americans are victims of online theft identity. Okay, so this was a survey done in the US, but it's still very relevant for everybody, really, for you to see how it can affect your life. It takes 4 years or longer for victims to realize that their IDs have been compromised. 4 years. So someone could be living off of your identity for a minimum of 4 years before you're like, someone has a house in your name somewhere else. Like, that's why it's important to check your personal information regularly to make sure that nobody has stolen your identity. Victims suffer a loss about 851 to 1,300 on average in court cases. So going to court and having to pay to explain that, hey, someone has stolen my identity, and it can be an expensive process, and sometimes it can go way above the $1,400 mark. 40% of the victims face problem getting credit cards, of course. So if you can't prove that it wasn't you who bought $10,000 worth of stuff, then your credit card companies will not lend you a credit card because they think that you are misusing your own credit card. They are getting better with that. And if you looked again at my last presentation last week about online security, sometimes they have a two-step process now with credit cards. I know for my credit card, as soon as I make a purchase, they send me an email that says, your purchase at such and such a store has been confirmed. So if I see something that has popped up and I didn't make that purchase, I go right away, call my credit card company and say, what's going on? 11% of people who suffer from identity theft have trouble getting employed, of course, because if there's something bad on your record and you go to an employer and they see it, you're going to have a problem getting a job. 70% of the victims face multiple issues to erase the negative records. Of course, 40% suffer from emotional stress because it is a stressful situation. When you are going through identity fraud and you have to go through the court or explain your situation, you can't get money, all of these types of things, it's no doubt that you will suffer emotional stress. And 12% of them get arrest warrant issued against them for crimes that were committed by thieves. So just think about that. Someone took your identity, committed a crime, and now the police think it is you. That's why it is so important to A, protect your information online, and number two, to have a positive digital footprint so there are no questions. Okay, so now that I talked to you about fraud and how some of the ways that people can access your stuff, let's talk about protecting your digital footprint, because that's what we want to know, right? First, enter your name into several search engines. And so this includes not just your first name or last name. You want to make sure you put your first name in, your last name in. If you have recently changed your name, you want to put that in the search engine as well. And if there are common misspellings of your name that you know that have happened in the past, put that in the search engine, because those will reveal anything about your digital footprint on your profile. If you don't like what you see, a lot of people don't know this. They can ask the administrator from whatever page they're on to take it down, and you can set up Google alerts. Google has a system that if your name pops up online, they will let you know. And then from that point, you can either take it down, or if it's okay, you can keep it up. Number two, double check your privacy settings. Although not foolproof, make sure that you know what your privacy settings are, of course, and make sure you use them regularly. A lot of people, when they set up social media accounts, they do not take the time to set up the privacy settings, and it's one of the first things that you should do. And even some private materials, like I mentioned before, they can be used for legal reasons if it's relevant to the case. So be careful with that. Strong, memorable passwords. So make sure your passwords at least entail 10 characters. You're going to use a combination of numbers, symbols, and upper and lowercase letters. If you go back again, like I said, to my presentation last week about online security, there were some really interesting ways on a video that I played how you can set up passwords. Because look, I know you have 1,000 passwords. I know that it is hard to keep track of them all. You don't want to think of 20, 30 different passwords for everything you have. So there are some ways that this process can make it easier for you, because at the end of the day, you can't really get away from online passwords. If you're online, you're going to need a password for something. And just make sure it's easy to remember, hard for someone else to guess, and do not use popular passwords. Like I was saying earlier, especially, the mother's maiden name, that is the worst one you could use, or your pet's name or your birthday. Don't use those. Fraudsters knows you're going to use them. Please be diligent in how you create your password. Keep all of your software up to date. And this is especially for PC users. You have to have an antivirus software system in place, regularly updated, because if you don't, it will be easier and easier for people to hack into your computer. And the outdated software could allow for a lot of your digital footprint to be exposed. And review your mobile use. If you don't need it, delete it. So if you have a phone, first of all, make sure you have a password on your phone. Some people are just like, it doesn't matter, I can get it unlocked. But guess what? If you have a password on your phone, by the time someone goes out of the way to unlock it, you can get it secured in that amount of time. So it is always important to have a password on your phone. Check all of your apps and their privacy settings. I bet you didn't know that, did you? A lot of people just download an app, use it, and they're ready to go. They also have privacy settings on your app. So make sure the privacy setting is set, and that when your app is updated, you check the privacy setting again to make sure it is what you want it to be. And if you don't use the app, delete it. Get it off your phone. Don't let marketers or fraudsters have access to information that they do not need to. And of course, build your reputation through your behavior. So contribute to your positive professional digital footprint. Like I said earlier, make sure it's positive. Refrain from posting negative comments, private photos, untag yourself from photos, and keep critical comments to yourself. Because if you comment on something, someone could misinterpret it. Maybe someone doesn't misinterpret it and they don't like what your view is, and an employer sees it, a school guidance counselor sees it. These things can have negative impacts in your life. So be careful and keep a clean online presence if you don't want to be looked down upon in the future. A lot of people don't take into consideration some of the things they're posting now. They think it won't matter in the future, but it will, I promise you. So what you really, really want to know is how to reduce or delete your digital footprint. Now that I've scared you with all this material, not meaning to scare you at all, one thing I want to say is we live in a world where we're going to be online. So you can't get away from having a digital footprint. But if you use online in a way where it contributes to a positive footprint, and you're careful with your passwords, and you are up to date with your antivirus software, and you take a look at your privacy setting, I know you're thinking to yourself, just so much more I have to do in my life is already so busy. And guess what? If your life is already so busy, don't go online as much. Make sure that you limit yourself to what you're putting online so you don't have to manage all of those things. It is okay to be online as long as you watch out what you're doing and you contribute to a positive footprint. So how do we reduce or delete your footprint? First thing I want to say is you can't delete your footprint. It is impossible to delete your footprint. Okay, I shouldn't say impossible. Maybe there is something on this planet that I am not aware of where you can delete it, but I am 99.9% sure through research that you cannot delete your digital footprint. But let's talk about how you can reduce it. Deactivate all of your social media accounts. Get off of them. Make sure they're all gone forever. Deactivate or delete old email accounts. I know you have a few email accounts out there that you opened before and you don't use them anymore. Make sure you deactivate them. Search yourself online. So this is really important. One thing I teach a lot of branding and social media courses, and I always tell my students, you are who Google says you are. So I want you to, once in a while, Google yourself to see what is out there, because you don't know. You might be a victim of passive digital footprints, and there's some things that you didn't know were put out there. So Google yourself, because Google will reveal who you are. So search yourself online. Delete your search results. So if you can request for search engines to remove any of your information, I bet you did not know that. You can ask them to delete it. Anything you don't want out there, send them a note saying, I see this on your search engine. Can you please remove it? And they will do that. For accounts you can't delete, fill in the required fields with false information. I really, really like this. Put in false information so you are not who you say you are. Unsubscribe from all email lists and text message alerts. That's self-explanatory. Get yourself off the list. You know, it's really hard because a lot of the times when you buy stuff online, the organization or proprietor or whoever, they automatically add you to their email list. So you end up having an endless amount of emails coming from different places. And then you have to hit unsubscribe. And a lot of times we don't hit unsubscribe. We just keep it going. Delete old emails that may contain any personal or sensitive information about you. That's self-explanatory. Get rid of those emails that have your private information. And I don't know if anybody has a landline anymore, and this is mainly true for landlines. Make your phone number unlisted, and you can do that for your cell phone, especially for your landline phone, where people like to call and spam you with advertisements. So before we end this, I just want to go to some final thoughts, a list of 10 things for your digital footprint for you to be aware of. When you search and interact online, remember, it's left behind. So digital footprints can be very helpful to your career. Maybe you're doing a really great job and the employer or someone who wants to partner with you in business likes what they see. It can be very helpful, but it also can be harmful. So be careful what you post. Always think before you post. That is self-explanatory, especially for kids. They don't get that yet. And I really encourage parents to talk to them about it. Google yourself, Google yourself, Google yourself. I always Google myself at least once a month to see what is out there, because you don't know. Keep personal details private and control the privacy settings on your account. That's a big one we mentioned. Make sure you're not putting out your phone number, your address, your social insurance number. It blows my mind that people put that stuff up. So make sure you keep that private and manage your privacy settings accordingly. Your digital footprint can be searched and shared. So be careful of that. Once online, things can exist forever, even if they are deleted. So I know I said that you can totally get rid of your digital footprint. It's almost impossible to do it. It is easier to store data than it is to delete it. Remember that when you post something, even if you hit your delete button, it's still there in the cyber stratosphere. Personal information or opinions sent to a person can be shared with a large audience. So, you know, if someone has something out for you and they want to share a picture, an inappropriate picture that you sent them, be careful, because anybody can see these things now. Older inactive accounts should be disabled or deleted. We mentioned that, especially with the apps. Get rid of it, get rid of it, get rid of it. You don't need it. And be mindful of the digital footprints of others. So make sure that you ask before you tag people. I know that when people tag me, I don't like it. If someone asks me, that's much, much better. At least I get the option to say yes or no. But be mindful, because when you tag someone, it contributes to their digital footprint and they didn't even want it there, but you made that happen for them. So be really thoughtful with that. And last but not least, before you post, think. Is it true? Is it hurtful? Is it illegal? Is it necessary? Is it kind? Those are just a few social media thoughts about posting online. Keep them in your head when you post. If you have any questions, don't post it. I always say, if you're not sure or if you're questioning, don't do it, because you don't know what the repercussions can be. That is the end of the presentation for digital footprint and understanding what it is all about. I hope that you learned something from this presentation, and if you have children, I hope that you talk to them about it. This video and presentation will be available online on CLIA's website, communitylearninginaction.org. You will also be able to access it on QCRC's website, qcrc.org. I appreciate you all for tuning in. If you have any questions, send me an email. My name is Michelle_Osborne at qcrc.org. I can answer any questions that you may have. Hopefully, if I don't have the answer, I will find them for you. Again, thank you for joining me today. I appreciate you all listening. And don't forget, check out our website for our webinars for next month. March 23rd, we're doing a full day digital series on creating an online resume. And we have lots more to come. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.